Hello, friends. Day 33 of my 30-day challenge, and it's also Storytime Sunday. And so today, as my title suggests, I want to share a story on purpose and vision, and share with you my journey on how I got to mine. And I don't know if you can relate or not with my story, but hopefully you can take some nuggets away from it. But I want to start off with just going back to, I guess, grade 2, grade 3. I remember when my teacher would stand up at the front of the class and just ask the students, "So, what do you want to be when you grow up?" Right? I don't know if anybody's been asked that question, but I remember as soon as the question was asked, boom, I already knew my answer. I was like, that's simple, right? And one word just popped in my mind. But I wasn't the first child to share. And so some of the kids start to share. I want to be a fireman. I want to be an actor. I want to be a movie star, a teacher, a garbage man. I was like, garbage man? I was like, okay, whatever makes you happy. And so the teacher made her way around and it got to me. And when it got to me, I'm like, oh, maybe I didn't understand the question. Because when that question was asked, one word came to my mind, and it was rich. I want to be rich. And I think at that age, I was like maybe 7, 8 maybe. I don't think I really understood the value of money, what that really meant. All I knew at that age was that money provided options. And so when the teacher got to me, I was like, I changed my answer. Because I guess I didn't understand the question. And so I answered with what my parents told me ever since I was young. I want to be a doctor. And so, of course, I got, oh, that's a great one, Edison. But I was confused. And so, because as far back as I can remember, ever since I was a young child, I always wanted to be able to make the world a better place. And I think everyone wants to be able to do that in some way, shape, or form. But when I was young, ever since I had a seed, that's for sure, that was planted in my heart, that I want to make the world a better place on a global scale. Not just the community, but although that's very important, right? It's a great place to start as well. But I don't know, I always envision myself impacting the world in a big way. And so it was a little challenging though, growing up, because I've always been a dreamer. And looking back now, a lot of people that I was surrounding myself were not. The older I got, kids were still dreamers, but as I got older, people started to stop dreaming. And so, but I just remember, I'm like, okay, well, I would always try to help wherever I can. I'd volunteer, I'd tutor some of the kids in my class, and I just try to help out where I can, just try to be a good friend, a good neighbor, you know what I'm saying? And I remember my older brother, when I was like in my teenage years, I forget what the topic was, but he would say, you need to care about this. I'm like, why? I'm like, why do I need to care about this? And like, this doesn't help the world. This doesn't, like, and the bigger picture things, this actually doesn't really matter. And then he said, well, you should care what other people think. I'm like, why? That doesn't really, like, it doesn't help in any way. I don't know, I was always a bigger picture thinker guy. And so for me, it was a challenge, I guess, growing up. But, I shared before, I had a dream of playing sports, but, that was kind of, I didn't pursue that. And so when I delved into the world of personal growth, that's when I started to really explore and go on that journey to really understand myself a lot more. And I think that has been the most powerful journey I've ever been on, and the most scary. It really is scary going inside to see what's in there, because there's so much light, but there's so much darkness as well as we grow older. And I remember times where I would just spend hours at a coffee shop just trying to think, hey, what are my values? What's my mission? What's my goals? What do I want? Why do I want to be here? And just working through all these things, right? Because I wanted my life to mean something and to count for something. I didn't want to just work just to pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? I knew I could work, and we live in freaking Canada, so I knew I could always make money. That's not an issue. So I wanted to do more than just exist and just to fit in and pay the bills. And so, it was a challenge growing up because I think at times I tried to fit in, but I knew I didn't. And as I started to meet a lot more people, I started to understand that I didn't need to fit in anywhere. But instead, I need to find a group of people where I belonged. Because if I'm trying to fit in, that means that requires me to change to be a part of something. Versus if I'm looking for a group to actually belong to, that means I don't need to change who I am, the core of who I am. And that's really, what I hope for you. That at the end of the day, you are perfect how you are, but we can all use a little bit of improvement, okay? And however you are, please embrace it and just find groups that you belong to, right? With common values, common vision. And, through the personal growth journey, I was able to read a lot of different biographies and listen to stories of people making a massive impact. And that inspired me. I'm like, wow, I want to be like those people. And so I sought people out. So I seek out mentors. And as I leveled up, as certain mentors were no longer able to help me level up still, I just found other mentors. And so I'm very grateful for the journey. But I think it was so powerful for me to see what is actually possible. Because in my mind, I had a vision of what I could and what I would like to see. But only until I met people who were actually making a difference could I start to envision myself doing that. And so, I just took it day by day, week by week, year by year, just growing, just learning. And one of the things that I learned is that through the biggest struggles or the difficulties in life is truly an opportunity. An opportunity to really learn about myself. And a number of years ago, I had a very unhealthy relationship. I was with a girl that I knew wasn't the right one, but I chose to stay. And, we were on and off for like 2.5 years, and that that really killed me. After a while, I was just so sick of myself, to be honest, because I knew this was not the right relationship. I chose to stay in it, and I felt like such a huge hypocrite. But at the same time, I knew there were some lessons that I need to learn, and so after that 2.5 years, almost 3 years actually, I was at a point where I felt as if I was naked. I stopped caring about what other people think. And that reminds me of one of my favorite quotes I've ever seen and read. It just resonated so much with me. And that quote was, life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. And that resonated so much with me because I guess sometimes I try to find myself, but the truth is, you are, like I said, perfect just how you are. And it's just about who do you want to be, right? And so it's about creating that person that you want to be. And so that relationship stripped me down so much, that allowed me, I should say, the opportunity to really get to know who I am and define myself more clearly. Because for the longest time, I lived my life with good intentions, but I didn't follow through necessarily on the actions all the time. And so, am I the only one? Or, right? I think we've all been guilty of it. And so when I see people say stuff with great intentions but don't really follow through, I think for myself, I don't get mad anymore. I just say, okay, something might be going on. And then in 2017, I read a book called Intentional Living by John Maxwell. And I got to this chapter that said that he wrote an I Have a Dream speech. And I was like, wow. I'm like, I need to write an I Have a Dream speech. And then, so after that chapter, you can probably guess what I did. I didn't do the exercise, I kept reading. Right? How many times have I read a book, there's some application exercises and I didn't do them? And so I finished the book, I didn't do the exercise. And a year later, I'm like, you know what, I need to reread this book. So I reread the book. And I got to the chapter again that talked about John writing and sharing his I Have a Dream speech. So I'm like, man, I need to write this down this time. And so after reading the chapter, I had like 10 minutes maybe before I had to bolt out the door. I'm like, man, if I don't start this now, I'm not going to do this. I just know myself. So, and at that time, I was on this huge just growth binge. I just read tons of books. And because like I said, you know, after that breakup, I was just, okay, I was building myself back up. So I was just surrounding myself with a lot of positivity, reading books, mentors, seminars. I was just devouring anything I could to help me reinvent myself, really. And this time I wrote down, I said, you know what, I only have 5 minutes. I'm just going to write down whatever is on the top of my head, in my heart. Boom, I'll fix it later. So I wrote down, it was like 5 minutes. Wrote it down, everything that was in my heart at that time, and then left. And later on, I came back, I reread it, and I'm like, okay, it's time to fix it. I was like, I don't have to fix anything. This is exactly what I say. And I didn't realize it, but for like 2 years, yeah, it was about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, I was just so busy devouring and reinventing myself that it became so clear to me. And so I never gave up though on just trying to figure that out, right? And there were times where I'm like, why am I here? What's my purpose? And why do I care so much about what other people think? Like, I've had all these thoughts and these feelings because it's a huge, huge thing, you know? It's what other people think, you know what I'm saying? That was a huge barrier to my growth for a long time. And, but yeah, so this time I wrote down my speech. And so, if you'd like to hear it, I'd like to share it with you right now. And so, okay, so similar to Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, this is my I Have a Dream speech, okay? All right, so, I have a dream. I dream of a world where we are all connected and united. A world where there is peace, love, and compassion for all. But what do I see now? I see a world where people choose profit over people. Where people only look after number one instead of each other as well. Where good-hearted people with good intentions who are too busy paying the bills or are distracted with chasing pleasure instead of acting on their good intentions. I see people who run away from challenges instead of facing them to grow and to learn through them. My friends, we all have the power to change the world, starting with bettering ourselves. What can you do? How about sharing a smile, a hug, or a how are you? What if people start to understand that we're all brothers and sisters, that we are a part of the same family, the human family? What if people subscribe to not just organized religion, but the religion of love and compassion? What if people start to work towards a life of meaning instead of a life of pleasure? What would humanity look like? And will you join me? And so that speech I wrote at the beginning of 2018. And it was, like I said, everything that was just in my heart. Like, I didn't have to change anything when I went to edit again. And if any of that resonates with you, love to have a chat further. If not, that's fine too. I hope that you do the work to figure out what your purpose is. You know what I'm saying? I'm just sharing with you my journey on how I got to mine. And for me, my vision, as simply as I can put it, is to develop good human beings. That's it. That's as simply as I can put it. And my mission is to be able to, number one, become the best version of myself. and to help others become the best version of themselves. And, you know, that's why everything that I do is kind of aligned to that, and it simplifies everything really in my life. You know, if it aligns with my vision and my dream, then I do it. If not, I have a choice. But the journey is not an easy one, I'll tell you that, because I know for myself, I just had a lot of fear. Like I shared before, like my biggest fear was just caring what other people thought. And when I finally got over that, it allowed me to really start to shine. And man, I just see so much amazing things in every person that I see. The potential. What I see is your amazing potential. I just know that it's going to take some time. The question is, are you willing to put in that time and to learn and to figure that out? Because at the end of the day, all I can say is the journey is not going to be easy. It's just going to be worth it. Oh man, it's going to be worth it. Because I remember the day that as crazy as it sounds, it was as if the clouds parted and the sun just shone at me. Ah! Like seriously, like everything just became so clear to me, and it's like wow. And all these external factors no longer had that much of an effect on me. And it was such a surreal experience, and I'm so grateful for where I'm at today. You know, I still have lots to learn, and every day I'm learning, right? Again, it's because I'm always working on bettering myself, to become the best version of myself. And because we have unlimited potential, it's a lifelong journey. And so, my friends, I love for you to share what your purpose, or what your vision is, or what's important to you. If you'd like to share, you can PM me if you like. But, you know, that's just a huge piece of me that I like to share with you. And again, at the end of the day, I love to find others that we belong together. But at the end of the day, like I said, we are all one family. The human family. Okay? We're all connected, whether you understand it or not. And hopefully one day, we will have a world that is united and that we do care about each other. Okay, friends, that's all I want to share tonight. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see if I pop up tomorrow. I love you all.